concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Livestream. It is Sunday afternoon, and it's time for Q&A with you and me. Q&A with you and May. That's a Nicki Minaj rhyme right there. That's how she would rhyme it. Isn't it? Tell me she doesn't make that exact rhyme somewhere. May. I'd say Bride of Chucky's Child's Play. Oh, you didn't see that coming, did you? Welcome to live stream, everybody. Oh. Here's the question I want to ask before we get the stream going. Is there anything more what's the adjective I'm looking for? Is there anything better for a person to be drinking than a White Claw? And I think the answer is yes. This is a premium alcohol seltzer, blackberry hibiscus flavor. Hibiscus, that's a flower. That's right. I'm drinking a drink with flower in it. Flowers. Hey, what are you going to do? I don't buy them. I just drink them when they're left in my fridge. That's it. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. That was me flying the iFlight Nazgul Evoque. And the full review is coming on the channel this week. I have both the analog and the DJI version. As you might imagine, there's a little bit of a weight difference between them, but I was There's also a big difference in how they fly. And yikes. I had an idea going into the review. Like, obviously, you have an opinion. You start forming an opinion the instant you see a product. But obviously, you keep an open mind until you do the review. And holy crap, the analog one flew so good. It was mind-boggling, really. The DJI one didn't fly bad, but the analog one... Anyway, full review coming up, but I wanted to share some of that freestyle with you. So, yeah. There's a little whiskey. Have some whiskey. It's fine. Sometimes, just shooting whiskey on a live stream maybe is not the direction you want to go. Sometimes you want a little blackberry hibiscus. Puts hair on your chest. I'm not going to show you my hairy chest. This is not that kind of stream. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Oh, we are going to be doing some Q&A today. Bobby Bags, it has an F7 in it. We're going to be doing a Q&A today. Here's my main screen. I'll be monitoring your chats right over here. This is the YouTube chat, and I will be watching you. Nick Sebring, good to see you there. 507RC Crunked, good seeing you there. Good seeing everybody. I got some super chats coming in as well. Joshua needs an OnlyFans account for chest hair. Yeah, that's right. You don't get that stuff for free. If you want to make sure I notice your message, because it goes by so fast. So many times I look back on a stream and I see comments and questions in the chat that I like, oh, I can't believe I missed that. But it goes by so fast. And let's face it, I have a lot to say. But if you want to make sure I get your question, hit the $sign right down here at the bottom of the chat. It'll get pulled out into the super chats. I will get these super chats very shortly. How do you suggest a person starts with FPV? Asks Mikhail Louvranos. Mikhail Louvranos, I'll get that question in just a second. But first, I also need to acknowledge the right side of the screen, my Discord. This is my Discord server. And if you want to get access to it, you got to be a patron. You can click my Patreon link down in the video description below. And for as little as $2 a month, you can be with these cool people and all the things. What's been going on here? Let's go look. And then let's go to the patron chat, patron-only chat. We got some discussion about 3D printing. This guy's doing some, all kinds of stuff going on here. Johnny5 is there. We need to tag him. Is he a patron? Is Johnny5 actually like patroning me? He is a patron. We need to tag him, and not only we need to tag him as a know-it-all. There we go. He knows it all. He knows it all. Yeah, he's tagged now. Yeah. So, thank you, patrons. Let's go back to the live stream chat and let's see. They usually post some gifs and stuff when I put them up on the stream. Will Rush Tank Solo Smart Audio work if wired to my Crossfire Nano RX Neek FPV? I believe it should. It's officially licensed, so it should work. Yeah, Johnny5 tagged as a VIP. I believe he's worthy of being tagged as a know-it-all. Not that there's lots of people who are helpful in the server, and maybe for whatever reason, it doesn't rise. I just don't notice because I'm not there. So I'm always trying to keep an eye out for people who are being helpful and promote them. But of course, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that goes below the radar. But Johnny5 certainly qualifies as a know-it-all. Anyway, he knows some things. I think we got to address the elephant in the room. I got new workbenches. See the workbench back there? Oh yeah. And anytime the studio changes and there's new furniture, you have to acknowledge it, right? So I know you guys want to know. I know you want to know. So let's see here. There we go. Yeah. GoPro stuff, camera lenses, chargers and charging related stuff. So I'm still figuring this out. The layout is not finalized. Camera batteries. And I don't think we should spend
GoPro
3 minutes
nonsense.
doing this.
Right?
Okay.
Batteries.
4-cell
More
batteries that I never use. Yeah.
Controllers.
Controllers. Yeah. Quadcopters. But that I don't use on the daily. Yeah. Oh. Props. Anyway, I got tired of. I wanted more organization. Now my room will always be neat. It'll be neat forever. It'll be neat forever. It will never be messy again. Oh, here, by the way, you probably want to see this. Hang on. Hang on. And, no, not this drawer. Hang on. Not that drawer. Hang on. Here we go. This is the drawer. Boom! 5-inch props. Whee! Sucker! Actually, I was cleaning my office up in preparation for moving into this, and I was like, I should give away a giant box of props because I have more props than I really need. Anyway, so that's gone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to my patrons, without whom this, and to everyone who contributes in every small way, but without you, I could never have. Oh, so good. Anyway, we'll see how long it takes for that to get super cluttered and messy. Never. Archimedes, thank you so much for the post, for the Archer post. Quote. Okay. We need to put those batteries in some flame stop bags or something, says Jeremy Sarge. Jeremy, if you saw how the batteries were stored before, this is way, way better. It's a fully metal container. The batteries are just laying there. This is the level I'm comfortable with. What can I say? Anyway. What was the question now? Let's go back. Let's go back with the question. Purple shirt clashes with the blue. That's true. I thought about ordering them in a purple color, but I just didn't feel, I thought it was a little too much. I thought it was just a little too much. Like, I like purple, but it doesn't mean that every single thing in my damn life needs to be purple. So I thought like a dark blue with a wooden top was a nice look. I have other blue accents throughout the room as well. I didn't think purple was right. Michael Lovranos, how do you get started in FPV? Here's my advice. Number 1, identify a controller that you feel like you can afford and that you feel like you will want to keep using for a while. So do a little research into which controller you want to buy. Maybe it's a Jumper T Lite, a Radiomaster TX16S, maybe it's a TBS Tango 2 or a TBS Mambo, whatever it might be. And spend your money on that controller. Now, you could spend like 40 or 50 bucks on a very inexpensive controller that you're going to end up throwing out or not using anymore. Or you could say, look, I feel like I'm probably going to be in this hobby for the long haul and spend a little bit more money on something you're going to keep. And then just get a simulator. Liftoff, DCL, DRL, Velocidrone. Get a simulator. There's some other like oddball simulators out there that don't have as much of a following. They're relatively new. Maybe the physics are good. Maybe they're not. You want to get something with like half decent physics. None of the physics are perfect, but something. But just get one that you're going to enjoy playing, because the next thing that's going to happen is you're going to spend between, like, if you're an 11-year-old who's been playing video games your whole life and your brain is all completely functional, then you might pick this up in just a couple hours. You'd be like, oh, like some kids pick this up and they pick it up so fast and they're just instantly so good. And I'm like, well, good for you. But most people, especially adults whose brains are not as fully functional yet anymore, it takes between, I'd say, 10 and 30 hours of practice to start to you're going to start, you're just going to crash and crash and crash. And you're going to be like, how does anyone do this? This is preposterous. And you just kind of got to want it and get through that, but it's better to get through that on a simulator than it is on a real quad where you're breaking stuff and you're spending money. And while you're spending those 10 to 30-ish hours in the simulator, you could be thinking about what you're going to buy and what you're going to build. But here's the beautiful thing. If you don't make it through the 10 to 30 hours in the simulator, I assure you that that is the least frustrating thing you're going to have to do in this hobby. So maybe that's your sign that this isn't the hobby for you. That's not universally true. Some people, they don't jibe with the computer. They're like, no, I need the real thing. Some people just want to buy a $400 bind and fly quad and go crash it and then have to fix it. I mean, you have to know your own personality as to what's going to frustrate you and what's going to satisfy you. But my recommendation is spend between $80 and $200 on a half-decent controller. Don't buy a quadcopter. Don't buy any parts on day one. Just get a simulator and start practicing. And if you're like, this is stupid, why would anyone do this? Now you know. Then just sell your controller and get on. But if you're like, this is awesome, I love it, then start thinking about what to build or buy. So there you go. That's what I would say. Oh. Any news about DJI cameras coming out soon? Gary Higgins, Rotor Riot, and I saw Rotor Riot, Defiance RC, other stores just got a shipment of the Caddx air unit. That's the big air unit with the two antennas. Which if you're flying FPV, a lot of times you want the Vista, you want the little air unit, or whatever they call it, the air unit light. A lot of people call it the Vista. But the key thing is that those big air units, they came with the 120 FPS camera, which is basically a Nebula Pro, which is the camera that you kind of want these days. So there was a shipment of 120 FPS cameras, but it was only sold with the air unit, which is not probably what you want. I do think they're coming. Caddx keeps saying that they're coming soon, and they're saying this to people who have orders in. So it's not just like they're BSing their customers, they're BSing their dealers. The actual time when it'll come, no one knows. There is no new camera that I know of. There's just, finally we'll get more Nebula Pros, which is currently, I think, the best camera you can buy, unless you can source an original DJI camera, which is slightly better. So Gary Higgins, that's the answer. Bubby FPV, good to see you there. Are those cameras 4.3? Bubby FPV, the 120 FPS cameras, like the Nebula Pro or the original DJI and Vista cameras, the 120 FPS cameras can do all the things. They're switchable between 4.3 and 16.9. They have adjustable image settings. They can do they can do low latency or high quality. That's what the 120 FPS cameras like the Nebula Pro have that we all want. The Caddx Polar is a very good looking camera, but it's locked in the 60 FPS mode, so you have higher latency, and it's not adjustable between 4.3, 16.9, and all those other things. So, we've got a ton. Nebula Pro is still trashed compared to the DJI cam, says Trent Pettyjohn. Personally, I disagree. I tested the Nebula Pro versus the Vista side by side. It's Blunty helped me do that. And after a lot of time both flying the Nebula Pro in person and looking at the footage side by side, I feel that there are very small differences between them. Like Nebula Pro seems to be a little bit better in low light. Vista seems to be a little bit better in when there's more light. Overall, I think that both of them are very, very comparable. It's a very fine difference. Not everyone, I think, could reliably tell the difference between them if I just handed you goggles and said, fly this quad. So, I mean, obviously, you're entitled to your opinion, but I would strongly disagree that the Nebula Pro is trash compared to the DJI cam. I would strongly disagree with that statement. I'd say they're very close. I definitely would not compare the Nebula Pro's image quality to SharkBite. Are you sure you're not talking about the Nebula Nano? The Nebula Nano, I would agree it's trash. Although I have seen some people who put a glass lens on the Nebula Nano and it does improve it significantly. Still not as good as I would like it to be, but still a little better. Bobby Baggs wants to know, can you take the micro camera off the new Caddx Micro Air unit and plug it into the Vista? Yes, you absolutely can, Bobby Baggs. The cameras are all interchangeable. All the DJI cameras are interchangeable. So if you have just stupid amounts of money, you could buy an Air unit today, take the camera off, and put it on your quad with the Vista video transmitter. And then you've got an Air unit that, I don't know, you'll sell it, but who wants an Air unit without a camera? You want the camera. Anyway, you could do that, though. You absolutely could. And that's what people who have stupid amounts of money will be doing. But normal people probably can't afford to do that. And I wish they would sell the camera by itself, but the reason they won't do that, in my opinion, this is just speculation, there's too much demand and not enough supply. So people want the cameras. They want to replace their Caddx Polar with this upgraded camera. And Caddx knows if they sell the camera by itself, people will just buy up the camera and not buy the Air units. And then they won't make as much money. Whereas if they just keep selling the Air unit with the upgraded camera, many people will go, screw it. Screw it. I just say, I'll buy it. And then they'll get more money. So unfortunately, as long as there is a limited supply of the sensors and the chips that need to go into the 120 FPS cameras, we're not going to see the cameras by themselves sold. There's no market incentive for them to sell the cameras by themselves. The camera is, let's say it's $80 or whatever, $100. I don't know what the camera is, $80, let's say. Whereas the Air unit and camera is $180 or $200. And they're going to sell all of them, no matter what they do. So they may as well sell the higher ticket item and make more money. And I kind of don't blame them, because in this day and age, it's really tough for these companies to get stuff. They're all struggling to figure out how they are going to stay in business when all of the chips and other components that go into their products are either unavailable or twice as expensive. So they're figuring it out, but that's how it stands. Let's see. Let's get some super chats out of the way. Thank you to everybody who's leaving those super chats. Eat Your Veg FPV said, thank you for £17.99. I have a Mamba F722 flight controller with a BL32 ESC. When I select DShot 600, I get a small number of motor errors. I can run DShot 300 with no errors. So here's the thing. An F7 flight controller should be able to run DShot 600 with no errors. Frankly, even an F4 should be able to run DShot 600 with no errors. What's going on there is the faster DShot protocol, DShot 600, has a higher frequency, more complicated signal, and therefore it is more subject to electrical interference and corruption. So there is a certain amount of electrical interference in your quadcopter's electrical system, and when you go to DShot 600, it is enough noise to corrupt some of the packets. Whereas when you go down to DShot 300, the signal to noise ratio of the motor signal is high enough that the packets get through. At this point, you have to ask yourself, what is the best use of your time and money? Like, if you didn't have a capacitor, maybe the capacitor would help solve this. Maybe it's just something about your flight controller and your ESC. Like you just got a bad one. I don't know. And frankly, I'm not sure how I would approach trying to solve this, because in my experience, if you have a small number of error percent, like if you can identify a bad solder joint, more power to you. But most of the time, it's just kind of a wild goose chase. And you end up like replacing parts. And so frankly, if it were me, if I were in your situation, If the error percent is less than 1%, you could just, the official guidance is that up to 1% errors is acceptable and you can just fly. Or just run DShot 300. Get on with your life. But I want to run DShot 600. It's more DShots. Okay. I promise you, you probably will not notice any difference in how the quadcopter flies. Probably. And it's then you could just get on with your life. So I would probably just run DShot 300 and get on with my life. Papa Gamer says, I saw a video from Original Dobo on YouTube where he changes from DShot 600 to 300 and messes with RPM filtering and a bunch of other stuff. What would be the benefit there? Papa Gamer, I haven't seen the exact video that you're asking about, but if you have an F4 flight controller, the F4 flight controller is not fast enough to run bidirectional DShot and DShot 600 and 8K all at the same time. So the guidance is that if you have an F4 flight controller and you want to run bidirectional DShot, you run 4K PID loop and DShot 300 and bidirectional DShot. And my guess is that in this video, the Diatone Roma shipped with bidirectional DShot disabled. I did review the Diatone Roma F5 V2. I can't remember whether it had bidirectional DShot enabled or not. But my guess is that, does the Diatone Roma F5 have an F7 processor? I may be going down. Does it have an F7? Surely it has an F7. Well, this whole conjecture goes out the window if it has an F7. Yeah, it has an F7. Okay, well, I'll finish my thought, even though it's not right. If you had an F4 processor, many manufacturers will ship a bind and fly with an F4 processor. They'll ship it with bidirectional DShot disabled, and then you might decide you're going to get better performance by going 4K DShot 300 and bidirectional DShot. I'm not sure if you have an F7 processor, why you would choose to go from 600 to 300. 600 is going to be lower latency. Most people aren't going to notice a difference, but you may as well run it. 661 FPV, you are correct that if you have an F405, you can run 8K 8K 600. If you have an F411, then you cannot. That's a distinction that is often not made. I often don't make that distinction either. It's just simpler to say if you have an F4, run 4K 4K 300. If you have an F7, run 8K 8K. Again, I don't think the difference is very significant. You are right. Helping people, it's always a trade-off between getting advice into people's hands that they can use and remember. And that F405 versus F11 distinction, I often don't bother with it. But you are correct. All right. Alan Rager, thank you for a $10 super chat. Just a thank you from Alan for some help I gave him. Johnny DRC, thank you for a $5 super chat, thanking me for helping him with his crossfire this week. And another 15 from Johnny D. Thank you so much, Johnny. That's very generous of you. True Gent, thank you for a $2 super chat. I just picked up the Eachine EV200D for $180. Any antenna upgrades to make? Yeah, so I would refer you to this amazing website, fpvknowitall.com, and there is a section there on, let's see, goggles and antennas. And here we've got suggestions for Omni antennas. And, oh, interesting. These are all goggle antennas. Probably the Rush Cherry doesn't need to be on this page. These are goggle antennas. I'll have to make a note of that. Yeah, that's an antenna to go on a quad. So, here are some Omni antennas that I suggest, and here are some directional antennas that I suggest. Not the only great ones out there. There are others, but trying not to overwhelm you with choice. But those are some that I would suggest. Chris P. FPV, thank you for £5. My Toolkit RC M4Q charger is on its way out. Only 2 ports are working. Ouch. What are your thoughts on the SkyRC Q200 Quattro 4? Chris P, I used the SkyRC Quattro 4 Q200 to charge batteries for battery testing for a long time. It was pretty solid for me. Yeah, it's pretty solid. I'm not sure it would be like the first one that I would pick because at its heart, it's just one of those old 4-button chargers. If you're leaning that direction and you can get one at a good price, it's pretty solid though. Yeah, it was good for me. RoboCop FPV, thank you for $10. Any opinion on Steele bashing Chris Rosser and his frame? I thought it was very childish of him to attack a man who has done nothing but help the FPV community, especially beginners. Well, RoboCop, I'm torn on this one because I talked about this for like 20 minutes on last week's stream, which obviously you weren't there, and you did leave a $10 super chat, so I don't want to just blow you off, but I also don't want to rehash everything I already said for people who heard it. I would say this. Let's respond specifically to your comment. Steele critiqued his frame, okay? Now, you could be the best, most helpful person in the world, but if you put a product out there, it is open to critique and criticism. So the fact that Chris Rosser is a nice guy and a helpful guy and that we like him doesn't mean that his product is immune from critique. Okay, so to say I thought it was childish to attack a man who has done nothing but help the FPV community, maybe I'm missing like the specific comment that you're referring to. I don't think at any point in there Steele attacked Chris Rosser as a person. He was critical of his frame in some ways, and some of his criticisms could be argued to be inaccurate or just based on his inexperience, he got something wrong, right? You could make those arguments. But at no point did he attack, and I don't think it's fair, I don't think it's right to treat a criticism of a product as a personal attack on a person. If I say something negative about the Impulse RC Apex frame, that's not an attack on Mr. Steele. That's just an opinion about the frame. So we have to separate those things. What I said last week was, I don't think there's anything wrong with what Steele said if you take it in the context of someone just handed him this quad and said, hey, do you want to fly it? There's no indication that Steele researched the AOS 5. There's no indication that he had ever seen one before. And then he's at International Open and someone walks up to him and said, hey, here's this frame. You want to fly it? And at that point, if you say no, then you're an asshole. And at that point, if you say, okay, now the pressure is on, because anything critical you say is going to be picked apart and you're going to be looked at like you're a jerk. And anything positive you say is also potentially going to have weird backlash. Anyway, so it's a very high pressure situation, which as a public person, Steele is, and it's fine, but I definitely have a lot of sympathy when people walk up to you and go, hey, here's this product, especially when it's a product that you've heard good things about, that people are very excited about. But the place where I became a little bit more critical of Steele is when he posts it to his channel. I said, if that guy had come up to Steele and said, hey, do you want to fly this AOS 5? And Steele had flown it and said everything he said, and then that guy recorded it and posted it to his YouTube channel, then I would say Steele is completely off the hook. You want an off-the-cuff opinion, you get an off-the-cuff opinion. And sometimes an off-the-cuff opinion will be wrong or will be tactless. But, everybody can't be completely coiffed at all times. But when Steele posted it to his channel with the title, The Best Frame or Hype, now he's kind of throwing rocks. And if you're going to post something to your channel, especially something where you're kind of implicitly sort of taking the wind out of something, then I feel like maybe there you have a little bit more of an obligation to do your research. So that's my take on it. But I mean, Lord Almighty, of all the things we could be concerned about in the world, the fact that, you know, Mr. Steele shit on this frame. Yeah. One IFPV, why would you be an asshole for declining to fly someone's frame? You could have other reasons for not wanting to. I'm sorry, One IFPV. I mean, like, I don't want to, like, make myself out to be a bigger deal than I am. But here's what I would say. Whenever there are a whole lot more people who feel like they are close to you, then like you are, when you like don't even know they exist because they just watch your YouTube channel and they never comment, but they feel like they know you. You could call that a kind of celebrity. And whenever you have that relationship with people, it is very fragile and precarious. And anything that sort of fails to support the image of you that people have in their minds can be very disillusioning to them, and then you're suddenly seen as an asshole. You see it all the time when people ask celebrities, and big, real celebrities, not stupid YouTube celebrities like me. You see it all the time when people ask celebrities for a photo or an autograph, and if the celebrity is like, no, not right now, suddenly they're the asshole. And it doesn't mean that everybody thinks they are or that they're really an asshole, but it does mean that there's blowback on them. And there's celebrities who people say, oh, so-and-so is so nice. They always have time for their fans. What a great person. And there's other celebrities that people say, oh, so-and-so is a real jerk. Won't ever take photos, won't ever sign autographs. And every time someone approaches you in public as a viewer of your channel or on some level, you're thinking, which of those two things am I going to be today? So there's pressure there. So it's tricky. If you go up to Mr. Steele and you say, hey, check out this quad. Do you want to fly it? I want to know what you think of it. That's very difficult to say no to. If for some reason you don't want to, it's tricky to say no, because now you're going to disappoint this person. It was their one shot. They finally got to meet the Mr. Steele. They wanted to know what he thought of their frame. And he said no. Anyway. Exactly, Jory says. Jory in the Discord says people project themselves onto the blank space that is the real you. When they find out you're not exactly like that, it's an insult to them. Yeah. So it's tricky. It's tricky. That's all. I feel like it was a little bit of a setup, although it wasn't an intentional setup. Mr. Steele, he flies. How often does he change up his gear? He likes what he likes, and he likes it because of specific things that it does for him. So you hand him a random frame. My God, it didn't even. It was the AOS 5 frame, but it's got motors and all this. Like, what is he going to know about the frame from your build? At the very least, he would have to build it to comment on it. So anyway, the only criticism I have of anything in that is that he did post it to his channel with a title that was definitely inflammatory. And I feel like that's where, okay, well, if you're going to throw stones at a product, you better have your facts together. And I feel like he didn't. So why did he post that? Why did he post that to his channel instead of just letting it go? That's I think the thing. Anyway, that's the take. Was that 20 minutes? Did another 20 minutes on this topic. There you go. Josh Fisk, thank you for a $2 super chat. Nebula Pro lenses with IR filters for sale. Josh Fisk, I don't know the answer to that, Josh. Either the Nebula Pro lens has an IR filter on it, in which case any spare Nebula Pro lens would. Does the Nebula Pro have an IR filter on the lens, or is it on the sensor? I don't know about that. I know there's... I don't know about that. Sam Burns, why do you think bidirectional D-Shot doesn't run on D-Shot 300? I disagree with you there, man. I'm pretty sure bidirectional D-Shot runs on all D-Shots, not just D-Shot 600. Like, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. Josh Fisk, T4J FPV says Nebula is on the lens, DJI Cam has it on the sensor. Okay, so you need a spare lens for the Nebula Pro, but you need one with an IR filter. I don't know off the top of my head what lens would have an IR filter. I mean, obviously many of them do. If anybody knows a spare lens that will work with the Nebula Pro, comment it in the chat. I don't have an answer for you there, Josh Fisk. Jones Away, thanks for €5 super chat. I have a Nazgul 5, and on my GoPro, the sound is really, really high-pitched and screechy. On many videos, the motors are sounding more bassy. Maybe it's something to do with your GoPro mount covering up the microphones. There is a setting in the GoPro that controls whether the wind reduction is automatic or on. Maybe that's it. Yeah. Those are some things that could be causing that Jones Away. The GoPro has two modes. There's normal mode and wind mode. And in wind mode, it removes a lot of that high frequency screech. Ant-FPV Music says, Mr. Steele's just being a turd because he wants to sell his frame. No, I don't believe that at all. I don't think that Mr. Steele is so insecure about the sales and quality of his products that he feels the need to shit on somebody else's product to try to sell them. I really don't. I also am a person who I like what I like. And if you give me something that is different than what I already like, my first reaction will be to hate it and hate everything about it that isn't what I already like about the thing that I'm currently using. So, I get that, and I can imagine where that reaction comes from. I don't think his motivation is to sell his frame. I just think that's who he is and how he is as a person. Also, as Mad Max points out, and I am sure this is true, I guarantee you Chris Rosser's sales tripled. Like, I don't know what the number is. I guarantee you Steele made a video shitting on that frame and criticizing it and basically saying it was bad. I guarantee you he tripled the sales. Right? At least. So, I mean, like, where's the harm, really? Jorge Lavariega, thank you for a $5 super chat. I have a new 850 milliamp hour battery. When charging, it only goes up to 450 milliamp hour and the charger stops. The charger is the HobbyMate D6 Duo Pro. Jorge, it's an 850 milliamp hour battery, but think about this, man. Let's say you have a 10-gallon gas tank and you drive your car and the gas tank goes down to 5 gallons. And now when you fill it up, how much are you going to put in? You're going to put 5 gallons in and then it's full. The charger charges the battery until it's full. If you didn't pull 850 milliamp hours out of it, it's not going to put 850 milliamp hours back into it. The charger will charge the battery until it reaches 4.2 volts per cell. Now, make sure that you are charging on the LiPo program and make sure you're charging to 4.2 volts per cell. If you're not charging to 4.2 volts per cell, maybe something will be wrong. But as long as at the end, 4.2 volts per cell, it's fully charged. You may not be running the battery down. You want to run the battery down to about 3.5 volts per cell. You still won't get the full 850 milliamp hours out of it. That 850 milliamp hours is probably, if you were to discharge to 3.0 volts per cell, you should never do that in real life. So you'll typically get 85 or 90% of the milliamp hours if you, like, practically speaking, fully discharge the battery. But, yeah, don't worry about the milliamp hour put back in. You know, here's when you should worry about the milliamp hour put back in. If a battery is damaged and has a bad cell, it will soak current without its voltage coming up. So if you've got an 850 milliamp hour battery, and normally when you charge it, you put, let's say, 600 milliamp hours into it, because again, you're not fully discharging it. But then later, you notice that you're putting 800, 850, 900 milliamp hours into it. That's a battery with a bad cell. Now, there's going to be other indications of the bad cell, but that is one of the symptoms of a bad cell. Backar DFPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. David Quesada, thank you for a $5 super chat. I don't understand your super chat, Dave Quesada. It's a kind of weird and random, and I appreciate your donation, but since I don't really know what the hell you're talking about, I'm going to pass on reading your super chat. So thank you for your donation. Sean Cross, thank you for a $5 super chat. I have an ATBS Mamba, and I want to use it with the Ghost. Any thoughts on how to get it to work? Well, let's start by looking up what an ATBS Mamba is. Okay, I don't know. Oh, you have a TBS Mambo. Oh, okay. You have a TBS Mambo. You want to use it with Ghost. You can't. Not today. So the Ghost protocol is built into OpenTX. The TBS Mambo doesn't run OpenTX. It runs FreedomTX, which is a fork of OpenTX. FreedomTX does not include Ghost support. So you cannot run Ghost on a TBS Mambo today. Eventually, the TBS Mambo and the TBS Tango will get merged into OpenTX. At that point, you will be able to run Ghost, but today it's not possible. It actually, little secret, this is not going to help you, but when Immersion RC developed Ghost, they used the Crossfire protocol to talk from the radio to the module, because Crossfire was already built into the radio and they were developing the module. And then once Ghost was all working, they developed Ghost protocol for OpenTX, and they switched the modules over so the radio talked Ghost protocol between the radio and the module. The code for Crossfire support is still there, or at least it was until I haven't checked like today, but it was. It's locked out, and they'll never unlock it. Because if Immersion RC was to ship a Ghost module with Crossfire support in it, TBS would lose their freaking mind. But the code is there. The people who were doing beta testing, pre-release beta testing on Ghost, it was running Crossfire between the radio and the module. So it is theoretically possible. Brandon Beans, I thought Ghost used SRXL2. Brandon, you're talking about the receiver to the flight controller. I'm talking about between the radio and the module. 661FPV says you can run Express LRS on a Mambo, right? Yes, because Express LRS uses Crossfire between the radio and the module, and the Mambo does Crossfire. So, Martin Wynn, thank you for a $5 super chat. Hi, I was half asleep when you and Blunty did the news. You fixed a bug on the TX12 radio. Do you know the episode number? I have no idea what you're referring to, Martin. I'm very sorry. What I'm going to do for you, thank you for your £5 super chat. I'm just going to go and look here in the video description for the word TX12. Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry, man. I have no meaningful results for that search. Mark Philly. Oh, hang on. No. Static Motion, thanks for a $5 super chat. Immersion RC Ghost or Express LRS? I just want something that works and is easy to set up. Ghost. I don't like fiddling with stuff. I just want to fly. Ghost. Express LRS, dudes. I know you're please, dudes. I know you're losing your mind right now. Express LRS is not that hard to set up. Bardwell has tutorials. It's how hard just give me a break. Give me a break. He said, I don't want to fiddle with stuff. I just want to fly. If that's how you feel, Express LRS is not the answer for you. Like we gotta, I'm not trying to be a hater, but you gotta agree with me on this one, right? Okay. LRS is easy with the configurator now. Yes, it's easier. It's easier. Why will it not? Okay, that was weird. It's easier. Now, again, I want you to read his comment. He said, I don't like fiddling with stuff. I just want to fly. Now, does this look like it fits that bill? I don't like fiddling with stuff. I just want to fly. Yeah, okay. My point is, okay, so obviously everything has options. Ghost is like you got to choose your flight mode, and nothing is completely, but there's more fiddling with Express LRS configurator. That's a fact. There's more fiddling. There's more fiddling. That's all I'm saying. Crunk says, don't want to fiddle, just want to fly. Did someone say Kiss? Oh, yeah, because Kiss has no fiddling or configuration. Does Kiss have setup wizards? You want no fiddling. Flight 1 is really the answer. Flight 1 is not perfect either, but as far as no fiddling, easy setup, the setup wizards in Flight 1, man, there you go. T4JFPV says, fix for TX12 bug. Thank you, T41. What's the bug? What's the bug that's being fixed? Why did it not show up? I searched for TX12. I'll be damned. Okay, thank you so much. Who had the TX12 bug question? It was Martin Wynn. All right. Martin Wynn, here you go, buddy. Thank you so much to T4JFPV. That's your £5 right there. Yeah, Raptor King of the Bronze, you're 100% right. Flight 1, the problem is there's stuff is you can't buy it. It's out of stock, etc., etc., etc. And let's face it, Flight 1's wizards are not perfect. There are edge cases where the Flight 1 wizard doesn't pick up your receiver or doesn't pick up your VTX. So it's not perfect, but Kiss has just as much fiddling to set Kiss up as Betaflight. But, whoa! How dare you! What a stupid thing to say! Hold on. Betaflight has a shitload more options than Kiss, but most of them you can ignore. The basic steps of setting up Kiss: set up your receiver type, set up your endpoints, check your motor direction. All of those basic things are the same between Betaflight and Kiss. The basic steps are the same. There are a few cases where Kiss has removed an option or made it automatic, but in general, it takes just as long for me to set up a Kiss quad as it does a Betaflight. Now, if it's your first time out of the gate, all of those Betaflight options may overwhelm you because you don't know that 90% of them you don't need to care about. So I'm not saying that, I'm just saying that if your goal is no fiddling, just fly. Kiss is no better than Betaflight. There's still a lot of fiddling. How dare you? It's called Keep It Simple. It's right there in the name. Yeah, well, Betaflight's called Beta, but it's not been Beta, so anyway. Yeah, you want no fiddling? Gel Capitaine. DJI FPV plus DJI controller plus DJI bind and fly quad. No fiddling. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Bind, 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 go fly. He's not wrong. I know. Yeah. All right, Crunked, that's it. It's on, buddy. It's on. Yeah, here's the thing. Express LRS is for people who like to fiddle. It's for people who will enjoy the fiddling. Okay. Mark Philly 80, thank you for $5. How's it going, Joshua? Quick question. I hope since Rush VTX uses TBS Smart Audio, will it work with Agent X in the transmitter? Mark Philly, Rush Smart Audio is an officially licensed use of smart audio. That means that TBS has like given it their seal of approval. So I would expect that a Rush VTX would work in every situation where a TBS VTX would work. If not, then what's the point of the certification? 01, thank you for 5 Swiss francs. No question, just 5 Swiss francs. Thank you so much. Anima, thank you for $5. I really wish I had thought of some other way to pronounce that username. Anima, thank you for $5. You're awesome. That's all. No need to thank or announce. Thank you. Too late now. Too late now. Too late now. Back RD FPV, thanks for $5. Backroad FPV. I have a Polar Vista and just got the low latency air unit from Rotor Ride a couple days. Any way to swap camera? Yes, just swap the cameras. Take the back off the camera. Take the back off the camera. Pop the MIPI connector off. Remove the cable from the back, which I think it should be. There should be no big deal. The back just comes right off. Then do the same thing for the air unit camera. Take the back off. The only catch is on the air unit, to get the connector through the hole in the back of the air unit camera, you have to turn the connector sideways and kind of slide it through. It's a little tricky. Stanley Zabowski, thank you for a $5 super chat. If a flight controller is rated 6S DJI plug and play, can I fly 6S or do I still need a voltage regulator? Stanley, in general, if it is plug and play with DJI, then it'll have like a 9-volt or a 12-volt regulator. I would always double check that, but 99% of the time, if a flight controller is made for DJI with a plug, it'll be good to go. You just look at the plug and it'll say 9-volt or something, and then you'll know. DVI, thank you for a $5 super chat. I enjoy fiddling more than flying. Yeah, you're not alone there. Jim Fan Hobby, good to see you here, man. Good to see you. Do I have a tutorial on how to make a Cine lifter? I made a Beast Class quad. I haven't built a Cine lifter. I feel I got into this hobby on 5-inch freestyle quads. That's still my love. I love 5-inch freestyle. And as much as I like other things when I try them, that's what I always go back to. More and more of this hobby is being taken up by Cinewhoop and Cinelifter, and more of my audience, or the people who might be my audience, are flying Cinewhoops or Cinelifters. And I'm torn because I don't do that kind of work. I don't fly Cinewhoops in hotels and restaurants and movie sets. I'm not that interested in it. It is not fun for me. I like flippy flops. And I'm torn because, I'm out there to help people solve problems and build quads. But like, if I was to build a Cinelifter, then what? I would build it and it would fly, and then what? I'm not gonna it's not like I'm gonna be flying around the United States shooting like Paul Nurkla, with Mark Rober. Got to fly with Mark Rober, son of a. Yeah, so I don't have a Cinelifter tutorial. I feel on some level I'm torn because there's the desire to do what you like most. And the desire to, would I be like selling out if I did it just for the views? I don't know. Double A, I do like my new bench. It's not quite full yet, but it's getting there. I'm working on getting it all organized. Thank you, Super Deluxe, for $10. Keep being you, brother. Thank you so much. Just to build a Cinelifter that can flippy flop. I mean, the whole point of Cinelifters is that you are doing cinematic stuff with cameras like a Red Komodo. They don't do that stuff. There's no reason for me to do that stuff. I like flippy flops. So anyway, Charlie FPV asks, what do you think about Racer Star motors? I think that they are the most inexpensive motor that you can put on a quadcopter. There are people who swear by them. I would say that, you know, no matter how bad a product is, somewhere out there, there's someone who's gotten only good ones. They are extremely inexpensive motors and are extremely low quality as a result. I would spend more if you possibly could. Granola asks, why does changing BL Heli motor timing to 31 degrees, per Evan and Noical's suggestions, help motors run cooler in certain situations? Granola, I can't think of a mechanism for that. I can't. By raising the motor timing, it causes the ESC to begin the commutation cycle earlier. So you've got the motor pole, the winding, the pole, and you've got the magnet that's on the bell, and the magnet is approaching the pole, and at some point as the magnet approaches the pole, the ESC begins to energize the coil and build a magnetic field in the coil, which then sort of pulls the magnet towards the pole or pushes it away. And the higher the timing, the earlier it does that. And so typically what will happen is if the timing is too high, then the magnet will be so far away. If you think about it, magnetic field strength drops off as the square of the distance. Think about what happens if you have two magnets. If they're this far apart, you barely can feel any force between them. And then as they get closer together, they go whoop. Okay? So if the magnet is too far away from the stator pole, from the pole, as the current flows into the coil, it's wasted energy. It's wasted energy. Because the magnetic field builds, but the magnet is too far away to really experience any force. And that can result in heat buildup. So typically raising timing causes more heat buildup. But by raising the timing, you're energizing the pole, the coil earlier, the winding, if you will. And that means that you're getting more pull on the magnet. And think about if the timing is too low. If the timing is too low, as the magnet comes around and approaches the pole, there's no magnetic field pulling it or pushing it. And then you get wasted torque. So I think what the racers are trying to do by raising the timing is energize that winding as early as possible to get the most torque, the most RPM, etc. But I don't know why that would cool the motor, though. I can't think of a reason why that would cool the motor. David Quesada says, Henri used to ask us to pronounce his name the French way. I never did. Which Henri? Which Henri? I don't know who he's talking about. Yeah, okay. Granola says, maybe at high enough motor RPMs, higher timing are needed to enable the motors to run smoothly. I mean, maybe, Granola. Like, Granola, you could imagine a situation where, like, with low timing, I don't know. I can't. It's past my knowledge of how ESCs and motors work to be able to even conjecture. So I'm just gonna pass. I've said as much as I feel like I can say. We got a question a little ways back from Anthony King. What would cause an ESC to have continuity between the motor pad and battery plus? A blown FET, Anthony King. I'm sorry to say, if you have continuity between motor pad and battery plus, it means one of your FETs has blown and is shorted. And when you plug in the battery, it will instantly fry the motor, is the likely outcome. I guess it's not 100%. It's likely that you'll instantly fry the motor, so I would not plug in the battery there. Sam Stickles, thank you. Oh, no, just for asking a question. No super chat. Just purchased, sorry, I was on autopilot there. Just purchased the Nazgul 5.2 HD with the Cadix Vista. Cadix Vista? The real Vista? Ooh, that's good. DJI goggles, DJI controller. The Vista is not receiving anything from the controller. Is there a fix? Sam Stickles, if you bought... So, Sam, probably what's happened is that the controller is bound, but your receiver is not... You're not getting anything in the receiver tab. Go into the goggles, go to the setup menu, go to setup device, and then there is an option there to change from normal protocol to fast protocol. Change it from normal to fast or vice versa, and that'll make it work, probably. You really want fast, so probably I'm going to guess that iFlight is shipping the Nazgul with fast, but your goggles are set to normal. Fast is what you want. So that's the answer there, Sam. Van says, what's the cheapest shipper to send a Vista back to China? Every shipper wants over $100. Van, I don't understand. Everybody's like, it costs $100 to ship something to China. Like, I don't know what country you're in, so maybe. But, like, hang on. Give me a second here. Ship to. Let's see if I can figure this out. No. Oops. Well, I was hoping not to do that. So I've shown Ian Bible's address on the stream unintentionally. Oops. Sorry, Ian. Ship to China. Ooh. Huh. Huh. Stamps.com. Whoa. Stamps.com. Watch yourself there. That's how you get yourself in trouble there, Stamps. Be careful. Saying that Tibet is a part of China. Ouch. Let's not become political. I guess I need an address. DJI China office. Let's see if I can get an address here. There we go. Perfect. I just need any China address. 14th floor, West Wing, DJI address, 14th floor, West Wing, Skyworth it doesn't matter. City, Shenzhen. Okay, perfect. Why is this not okay with you? Full name, DJI, customer service. Do I need a company? DJI corporate HQ. I don't know. Why are you not happy? There we go. Shenzhen, phone number. Can I select a service? $50. Okay, that's still pretty bad. Do we need a wait? Oh, no, that's pretty bad. Okay, I take it back. Select a service. $37 flat rate envelope. Well, it's still better than $100. That's more than I thought. Okay, I take it back. I just wanted to look up the rates because I've mailed stuff to China before, and I sent something back to China for like $25-$30, but that was a couple of years ago. Maybe they've gotten more expensive. I always use USPS. Was that UPS? It was USPS, yeah. I always use United States Postal Service, and it's usually not too expensive. If you're using something like DHL, UPS, FedEx, you're gonna spend a lot of money. Why are you mailing it back to China? I mean, obviously you probably know what you're doing, but Like I had to send my goggles to DJI for repair. My V1 goggles, the power board fried on them. I don't know why. And I just sent them back, and obviously they were like, "What country are you in? USA? Okay, here's a USA address." I Am Destructo Man says, Joshua Bardwell, do you have an opinion about 3D printed battery cases that mount directly to the frame? I Am Destructo Man is talking on the Discord server about this kind of thing. My hot take is that a 3D printed battery case is not going to survive a crash. Like at the very least, you would need injection molded plastic, I think. I don't think it's going to be tough enough to survive a crash. I don't think it's going to do a great job of protecting the battery, and it's going to add weight. So I would rather, because I would rather just strap the battery to the outside and send it. That's my take. But, you know, I could be wrong. See, there you go. I've just done it. Now, hold on. I have to make a new video. 3D printed battery cases. The best or hype? And then I'll just put a video of me shitting on it. See? JT Knives. I guess it's talking about how, there's all this pressure when someone asks you to critique their product. And he asked me the question. I'm just like, it sucks. It's a waste of time. Don't do it. No. Well, I didn't say that, though, technically. I mean, those are specific criticisms. I would say that those criticisms are hopefully constructive. What do you think of a 3D printed battery case? I think it's not going to be strong enough. Well, that's a problem for you to try to address. That's constructive criticism that you can try to fix yourself, I suppose. Bad for life, I did not plug 6S batteries into my goggles, for the record. Have I seen the new Torval bag? Shut up! Shut up! No. Oh, yes, I have. I have seen this bag before. I'm not going to say who. I know someone who was testing this bag. I believe I have seen this. This bag is very different from the Pitstop Pro. Let's see if we can find some internal shots. It's very cool. Can we find any internal shots? So this bag is more of like just a wide open. It's not a photography style bag with dividers on the inside. I think it would take, is that all I'm going to get? Yeah, that's all I'm going to get. I think it would take some getting used to. It's a very different style. We have almost no internal shots, unfortunately. It's a very different style of bag. Oh, here we go. Rauk, I don't know where you got that. Thank you for that photo, Rauk FPV. So what we've got here is a big, wide open bag. But it feels like you're going to need separate containers for a lot of your stuff. This feels like a bag similar to the Mr. Steel bag where you're going to need a separate goggle case, a separate transmitter, maybe not a transmitter case, I don't know. Whereas if you have internal dividers, then your stuff just all goes on the inside. So I don't know if this is going to be for me. I mean, like, the Mr. Steel backpack is similar, my FPV bag. And I've made this distinction. If you want to carry your stuff, let's see if we can find where he takes all this stuff out. If you want to carry your stuff in separate cases, then fine. Come on, Steel. There you go. So you can see right here where he opens it up. Look how Steel stores his stuff. Batteries, goggles, controller, I'm guessing. I don't know. It's all in its own case inside. And my thought is, well, why wouldn't I just get a camera style bag with dividers and not have those extra cases? I don't know. I mean, obviously it works for him. He's a professional. He's a pro. His opinion is absolutely relevant. But like, my whole goal with this kind of bag is that I don't want to have additional protection. I just want to put my stuff in it. So. Anyway. Good luck to him. I mean, if you're going to get something like the Mr. Steel bag, which is just a large cavernous thing to put your stuff into, let's see. Like recently, my wife went looking for a backpack to kind of keep in the truck, to have sort of emergency stuff with her in the truck. And she went looking for like recommended kind of go bags, if you will. I don't know which exact bag she got. I don't know which one she got. But it was kind of like this one. Maybe it was this one. This bag is $60. It's freaking enormous. Right? What's the Mr. Steel backpack sell for? $150. Yeah. Like, if I'm paying $150, it feels like, what am I paying for? Uh-oh, here it comes. Bardwell takes shots at steel. No, I'm just critiquing the product. I have no stake in this. I'm just sharing my off-the-cuff thoughts about the product. If I were to upload this to my channel with a title, Mr. Steel Backpack, hype or not, then I would be an asshole. It's just a live stream. It's off the cuff. I just like, what am I paying for? $150. What is it? You know, why would I not spend $60 on, it's a very good backpack. It's like a super tough backpack, tons of storage, right? Comfortable. I mean, when you charge me $200 for a Torval, you're paying for the dividers, the ability to organize it on the inside. But if you're not going to give me that, if you're just going to give me a big backpack that I have to put all my shit into, why would I not just buy a big backpack instead of like an FPV backpack? So. Anyway. I'm getting behind on the super chats. Clint asks, my Roma came with air mode set up on the same switch as armed, so air mode is enabled only when armed. Is there a benefit to that? No, that makes no sense, Clint. I don't understand. I mean, maybe Diatone has some weird logic for doing that I don't understand. When you have air mode is only enabled when you're armed, obviously. I don't see any reason to do that, Clint. Mixwiz asks, final word on the AU line bag. I have nothing additional to add about the AU line bag. Obviously, it has held up so far. It's only a sample size of 1. If you like the layout of the AU line bag and the price, I have no reason to steer you away from it. But the long-term durability is still the outstanding question that is not answered because it's a new product. Let's see here. Oh my gosh. So many super chats have come in. Let's get a few more super chats. Patry B, thank you for 50. CZK. Is that Czechoslovakian? Karuna. Do we have options for air unit antenna upgrade? Why does everyone care about goggle antennas and not about air unit antennas? Patry B, there's 2 reasons for that. The first reason is financial. If you have 10 quads and you upgrade the antennas on your goggles, every single one of your quads gets better because the goggles are better shared between them. If you upgrade your antennas on your quad, you have to upgrade them all and it costs a lot more money. The other thing is that the antenna on the air unit is pretty decent. It's decent. So most people just don't want to spend an additional $10 or $20 per unit to get the best possible antenna. If you really want the best possible antenna, a Lumineer Axie, a TBS, any of the 5 gigahertz antennas, any of the good 5 gigahertz antennas could do, but you're going to spend $20. And a lot of people are like, not worth it. TX Bone, I have sent back the America. What people told me about the America was that the two-blade, there's like a two-blade prop from, maybe it was HQ, maybe it was GemFan, I'm not sure. But there was a two-blade prop that's way more durable, but I felt like sending it back. I felt like Phantom FPV had shown me up. And I was done. WOM FPV, thanks for a $10 super chat. Thanks for all the help. Thank you, WOM, for the super chat. Oh. Let's see. Is it Kieran? Karen? It's Karen. Karen Roxburgh, thank you for $5 Canadian. I've had the OG air unit and camera for a while and it's been water damaged. Should I try and repair or sell it online? I'm impressed that you managed to water damage it. Most of the time, the air unit and the Vista are pretty I've known more than one person who's crashed an air unit in underwater for a day or two and had it be okay. If it's water damaged, why would you sell it? Don't sell it if it's water damaged. That's silly. Send it back to DJI and see if they'll fix it for you. Fog Dr. RP. That's a weird question. I have a new build with the SpeedyB F7 stack. The ESC comes pre-flashed with 32.8. There is no 32.7 target available. Yeah. So for newer ESCs, they never built the older targets for them. So in this case, you have no option to flash back to an older version. It doesn't exist. When I enable D-Shot beacon on my radio switch, the ESC beeps once, then stops. Then it won't beep or arm until power cycled. You're boned. Don't do that. I don't know what to tell you. If there's a bug in the firmware or a bug with the ESC, you have to contact RunCam SpeedyB. You have to contact support and find out if this is a known issue and if there's a fix. But for now, I don't think there's anything you can do about that. MixWiz wants to know, does DJI repair Vistas or does Caddx? Good question. I don't know the answer to that, but it wouldn't hurt you to go fill out the DJI repair form and see what they say. Fog Doctor updated to 32.82, no change. I mean, Fog Doctor, you could have a bad ESC. It could be a bug in the firmware. It's difficult to know the answer. Asking RunCam would be a good start. Michael, thank you for 50 Swedish kroner. What is your go-to stuff? Transmitter, motors, video system, flight controller, ESC frame. Michael, the best answer to that would be I made a perfect freestyle build 3 months ago, and it is my choice stuff. If I could pick anything, and that is what I would refer you to for my recommended stuff, or the stuff I pick. That's my go-to. DDOT, thanks for $5 Canadian. I have an air unit. I just put an Acon F7 plug and play with DJI controller. When I power on the controller, an air unit bind, but flight controller blinks blue. When I power on the controller, an air unit bind, but the flight controller blinks blue. DDOT, I think that the blue blinking LED means there is an arming prevention code of some kind. The way to find the arming prevention code is to go into Betaflight. 1 second. Go into Betaflight, go to the Setup tab, and then in the upper right, you'll see the arming disable flags. Whenever Betaflight has a reason why it doesn't want to arm, this is where it will tell you the reason. And once you know those flags, you can then start researching how to clear the flags. But that's probably what's going on here, I think. Ooh, I Am Destructo Man. Well, I love your quad, I Am Destructo Man. It's it's the best build I've ever seen. My frame. FPV cycle motors. That's a gigantic... Why are you running that battery? It's enormous. What are you doing? Like, what's your logic there? I mean, that thing, if you crash with that battery, it's got so much mass. It's got so much mass. I can't imagine what's going to happen. What is the all-up weight on that thing? Jeez. DQ in the chat says that's pretty effed up selling a water-damaged air unit. Hang on. We don't know that they were going to sell it. They might choose to sell it. They said, should I repair it or should I sell it? I assumed that they would sell it as water-damaged for a cheap price on the expectation that someone else would fix it. I don't know what the logic is. I don't really think there's a lot of logic there, but let's not assume that they were intending to rip somebody off. I don't know why you would fly such a big battery, JT Knives, I Am Destructo Man. That battery, that quad seems like it's going to fly like crap. And as soon as you crash, it's going to just like rip the top plate off or something. I don't know. That's crazy. Justin Rice, thank you for a $5 super chat. Want to get into mountain surfing? Catalyst Machine Works Banggood 7-inch or what platform? Any advice for antenna for DJI setups? The Banggood 7 is a fine quad. I wouldn't steer you away from it. There's a lot of other... 7-inch is definitely a place to be. If you're leaning towards the CMW Banggood, I would encourage you to go that direction. It's very good. Catalyst Machine Works does a very good job with their builds and has good after-sales support. Although occasionally Neil Whiteley loses track of his inbox, and like somebody will be like, "Hey, I emailed Catalyst and they didn't answer," and I'm like, "Hey Neil, this guy says he didn't answer him. Is everything okay?" And Neil's like, "Oh yeah, I know he's in spam or something." So for the most part, their customer service is very good. There are many other 7-inches out there you could consider. iFlight has a 7-inch. GetRC has a 7-inch. So there's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with the CMW Banggood. There's nothing wrong with the others. The AOS Falcon 7. Yeah. I would say Catalyst Machine Works has more of a racing pedigree. And now they have shifted to Cinelifters and are making some really good quality Cinelifters. I would say that long-range cruising is... I'm sure that the Banggood 7 is a good quad, but it is a racing frame scaled up to 7 inches, more than a frame that's sort of tailor-made for cruising. So, Ciati FPV likes the Glide with 7-inch arms. As far as antennas go, I would say that the iFlight Crystal antenna is going to get you out pretty far. Chris Rosser was able to hit the 13-kilometer hard cap on DJI with the iFlight Crystal. With a higher gain antenna, you'll have better video further out, but your beam width is going to be a lot narrower, so that may not be a trade-off you're wanting to make. CJ in the Discord wants to know, what's the story with Orca goggles? Are they out of stock? They're out of stock everywhere, but I can't tell if they're discontinued. CJ, Orca has stopped major feature development for the Orca goggles. They are still providing after-sales support and bug fixes, but will not be developing any new features for the goggles. Now, the big question is, does that mean that they're going to stop making them and come up with a V2? Or does that mean they're going to keep making them but just not do any firmware updates? I don't know the answer to that. The reason that they're out of stock today has a lot to do with just component shortages. Everything's out of stock forever. Sam Stickles wants to know, why does my quad say RX failsafe and MSP? MSP you can ignore. That's just because you're plugged into the configurator. RX failsafe means that your receiver is not talking to your flight controller or your receiver is in failsafe. Can I use the iFlight Crystal with the DJI FPV drone? Asks I Am Destructo Man over in the Discord. Thank you for being a patron, I Am Destructo Man. You can join him over in the Discord by joining my Patreon for as little as $2 a month or more if you feel like I've earned it. Link in the video description below. You can use the iFlight Crystal with the DJI FPV drone, but the iFlight Crystal is a single band 5 gigahertz antenna. So the DJI FPV drone will get slightly worse range than if you had a dual band 2.4 and 5 gig. Archimedes shows a Banggood link that seems to have the Orcas in stock. I'm not sure I would trust that link. Banggood's in stock is not always accurate. Sometimes they don't have the item that they say they have, then they take your money, and then it's a pain in the ass to get your money back. I would be really careful about that. Archimedes, are you sure they have the Orcas in the Spain and Czech warehouse? Or are they showing it in stock when they don't really have it? I would be very careful about that. Maybe they have it. I'm skeptical because nobody else has it. Nathan Young, thank you for a $5 super chat. I have lines in my video only when I rev up to fly. It's clear when it just sits when it's powered on. Nathan Young, that's electrical noise from your ESCs and your motors. You need a capacitor on your quad. Definitely need a capacitor. You could have an issue with how your video transmitter and camera are powered. There are various ways to move around the wiring of the video transmitter and the camera. So, for example, if the video transmitter is powered from VBAT, maybe moving the video transmitter over to a 9-volt regulator would help. If the camera is powered from VBAT, maybe moving it to a 9-volt regulator would help. If the video transmitter has a 5-volt output, powering the camera from the video transmitter 5-volt output sometimes can help instead of powering the camera from the flight controller. There are various ways to shuffle that around to try to make it better. The final thing I would say is that you should check to be 100% sure your motor screws are not touching your motor wires or your motor stator, as that can also cause that problem. And it's not always visible, so don't just say, well, no, it doesn't look like it. Sam Stickles, how would you fix that from happening for it to work? Oh, Sam, how would you fix it? Well, I mean, Sam, you have RX failsafe. You know, you have to figure out why your flight controller is not talking to your receiver. So the question I would ask is, did it ever work? If it ever worked, then you know your wiring and your configuration is correct. And the fact that now it has stopped working means that something broke. So if I have RX failsafe in the flight controller, the first thing I check is the status LED on the receiver. Is it green? Solid green. Not all receivers. Some will have solid red versus blinking red. But basically, your receiver will have a status LED that indicates that it's bound. That's the first thing I would check. If the receiver is not bound, then that's why your flight controller is in failsafe. Assuming that your receiver is bound to your controller, the next thing to check is the wiring. Is it wired up correctly? And then finally, the flight controller configuration in the ports tab and so forth. Jeremy Sarge, I don't know why you would say this isn't live. This is absolutely live. What's your problem? Way to go, Jeremy Sarge. Not sure what you're getting at there. Tyrannosaurus Rex, very good comment. The receiver may not be powered up from USB. That is true. Many flight controllers do not power the receiver from USB, so you have to plug the battery in to power up the flight controller, or power up the receiver. That's a really good idea. Salmon Rose says he's running the DJI controller. With the DJI controller, it may be the fast S-Bus option that's causing a problem. So if everything seems correct, but it still isn't working, thank you. I forgot that he was running DJI. I appreciate you guys reminding me of that. It could be... One second. Oops, that's the wrong screen. It could be the fast S-Bus option. So what you would need to do is go into the CLI and you're going to type get S-Bus baud baud fast. And it's going to say either S bus baud fast is off or on. And then what you're going to do is, if it's off, you're going to turn it on. If it's on, you're going to turn it off. Set S bus baud fast equals on, and then type the word save. Or if it was on, then you turn it off. That may fix your problem right there. JT Knives wants to know my all-up weight on my perfect build. I went with an 1800 milliamp hour battery as I'm not running a GoPro. JT Knives, I would, if I wasn't running a GoPro, then I would rather fly a 650 gram with a 1100 milliamp hour 6S. Everybody wants a bigger battery for longer flight time. No, I don't. I would rather fly for 3.5 minutes at 620 grams, or 4 minutes. If I'm going to leave the GoPro off, I don't go to a bigger battery because the lighter quad flies so much better. So if I've got a quad that's 750 grams with a GoPro and I take the GoPro off, I just revel in the lighter weight. I don't go to a bigger battery just to get a longer flight time. Obviously, if your priority is long flight time and cruising, okay. But I don't own any 1800 milliamp hour 6S. I just use the same battery. Let's see here. Super Deluxe, thanks for a $10 super chat. Just want to thank you for bringing more people into FPV. Thank you, Super Deluxe. That's very kind of you to say. Excuse me. Let's see here. Michael Blade FPV says, I have a JBF7 flight controller. The USB connector fell off. Is it repairable? It's a month old and never crashed. That sucks, man. Michael Blade, I would at least ask Race Day Quads. Well, they're out of stock anyway. They can't help you. They can't send you a new one immediately. That has been a pain point, is that a lot of times, too often, not a lot, but too often, the solder joints that hold the USB on are not substantial enough. On the next release, we are going to switch to a USB-C, which will help with that, but that's not going to help you today. It may be repairable. If you take it to like an iBreak UFix store, where they fix your phones, like your phone screen or whatever, they may be able to solder it back on. I've heard of people who have done that. Assuming no pads got lifted. If pads got lifted, then you're done. How often should we consider replacing capacitors? Asks Coelho FPV. Coelho, I have never... I mean, I don't even know how you would know a capacitor had worn out, but I have never owned a quadcopter long enough that I felt like the capacitor needed replacing. I mean, caps do wear out over time, but think about it. You have capacitors with 2,000 hour ratings or whatever, and they put them in a television that's going to sit on for hours and hours a day for years. Well, how much actual useful life does your capacitor have? I don't think there's much chance of you actually wearing out your capacitor to the point where you need to replace it before you just destroy the quadcopter or, whatever. You need to build a new one. In theory, you could measure the capacitance of the capacitor using a capacitance meter. But by that point, you would have removed it from the build anyway, because you can't measure capacitance while it's still in circuit, at which point you may as well replace it. So, I mean, the legs may crack off. The capacitor may get damaged. Yeah. Baskin FPV asks, is it better to use the props out direction because it makes the flight controller more dirty? Baskin, props out keeps the camera clean, but makes the flight controller dirty. Props in makes the camera dirty, but keeps the flight controller clean. Props out is more likely to bounce off an obstacle, and there are some aerodynamic effects that some people feel like they can notice, but most people probably won't, in my humble opinion. Destructoman and Ciotti both say that if the cap is leaking, that's a sign that it needs to be replaced. Fair enough. I don't see that. I don't think that has ever happened to me. What about a dented capacitor? Richard asks. I mean, you could test it to see if it's damaged. If the capacitor gets super hot, that's another sign that something isn't right with it. Like the internal resistance has gone up. If I had a dented capacitor, I might think about replacing it. I'm having trouble imagining how it would get dented without just getting completely destroyed. What is a lightweight 6S 850 to 1000 milliamp hour you would recommend? Oof, that's an oddball size. 6S 850. Let's take a look. Let's start here. Go to batteries, 6S. Oh, we're zoomed in here. Hang on. There we go. 6S, 600 to 999 mAh. Here's a 650. Here's a 650. Here's a 550. Yeah. So, how about 1000? I think 1000 is going to be the best we're going to do. Here's a 1050. Now you say lightweight 850 to 1000. I wonder if, do you need an XT30? Bumble Bear? Do you need XT30 or XT60? Probably if he says lightweight, he wants an XT60. Here's 1000 milliamp. I mean, the Race Day Quad Series batteries are made by GNB, and they're pretty good quality. But I'm not sure that this XT60. Okay, well, if I needed 1000 milliamp hour 6S, I mean, this is $25. And is it lightweight? It's not super lightweight. If you really care about lightweight, let's see if I can find a Thunder Power Lunar Lander. So Steele's Lunar Lander is one of the lightest. We have to take we have to assume that their milliamp hour rating is honest, which I guess will give them the benefit of the doubt. The weight is preposterously low, 176 grams. Compare that to this 1050 milliamp hour with a weight of 199 grams, 200 grams. So the Lunar Lander saves 25 grams. I don't know how they're sort of defying physics to get the weight that low, but I mean, Steele flies it. So, you know, and he flies for a long freaking time. Super Deluxe says, I can vouch for the Lunar Lander. Best battery ever. Prohibitively expensive, but worth it. Ciotti suggests Tattoo R line. Let's take a look. $6S. Version 4, 1050 mil. Here's a 1050. Here's a 1050 6S for $32. Significantly cheaper. Weight 180 grams. Pretty close. Pretty close. A lot cheaper. A lot cheaper. So, yeah. So if weight is your concern, I mean, I think 200 grams for 1000 milliamp hour is completely respectable. And for a price of $25, a lot of people are going to choose it. And it's good quality cells. The GNB are good cells. Tattoo R line, 180 grams, $32. The absolute sort of lightest that you can find is the Lunar Lander, but it's like $52. Pretty expensive. So Ciotti says the version 1 is even lighter and cheaper. Interesting. Can you actually buy that? I never know. I always hear different things about Tattoo. Obviously, Tattoo R-Line are very premium batteries, and a lot of high-end pilots use them. I can't decide if they are durable. Are they super high performance but not that durable? I can't tell. GNB has a ridiculously light GNB 900 milliamp hours 6S. Yeah, I'm having trouble finding anything under 1,000 milliamp hours. Here's a GNB 4S. That's a 4S. Well, if there's a 4S, there has to be a 6S. That's an XT30 also. I think once you get below 1,000 milliamp hours, they're going to be XT30. Yeah, so I'm not sure that's what they want. CNHL Black 1100 6S. Our line has an 850. Do they? 850 6S. That's a 4S. 4S. 6S. Jin's Ace Tattoo. Here's a 1050. Here's a 1300. Capacity rating milliamp hours. Yeah, I think it's going to be tricky to find. Yeah, no. I can't find 850 6S anywhere. They're all, you can find 650s and 1000s, but not 850. The Omegod 6S is like 380 grams, isn't it? Pyrodrone. Let's check Pyro. Batteries. 6S. Just sort by brand. That's it. I can't sort by size. Damn. Here's a 6S 720 high volt. I'm usually not a super fan of high volts. 6S 1100. 6S 660 high volt. Yeah. No. No, thank you. 6S 1350. That's AU line. I'm not really loving AU line because that issue that, well, anyway, that old issue they had with the bad batch going out. They did their best to make right about it. Here's a 6S 750 GNB. Boom! XT30, though, not XT60. Still, that's the closest we found. Yeah. You could always swap the connector. 140 grams for a 6S 750. Yeah. Anyway. I think I'd probably get 1,000. Anyway. Scott Abramacek, thank you for a $5 super chat. Thoughts on a 7-inch with a motor size of 2207.5 and 1750 kV. Scott, a while back, a couple of guys from Chattanooga came out with their 7-inch quads. We flew at my house. We made a video out of it. Their 7-inch quads had, like, I don't remember the exact size, but it was like 2306, 2207-ish motors. They did not have the big 2806 motors that are sort of recommended for 7-inch. So you absolutely can fly 7-inch on a 2207 motors, but you will get more efficiency, longer flight time, and more responsiveness out of a bigger motor. There is no question that 2207.5 is going to be overpropped on a 7-inch. Now, if you run 1750 kV on 4S, you may do okay, because that low voltage and low RPM is not going to demand a lot of responsiveness and a lot of torque from the motor. You're not going to get a lot of power, but so my thinking is, if you have already spec'd a 7-inch build with a 2207.5 motor and 1750 kV, that's not ideal, but you can do it. On 4S, that's going to be a great setup for a cruiser. You still will probably get a little bit better, a little bit longer flight and more efficiency on a bigger motor, but as long as you're not jerking the quad around too much, then you'll do okay. Coelho FPV asks, thank you for $5, Coelho. Do you know why Tattoo discontinued the 800 milliamp hour 6S? No clue. No idea. No idea. Business decisions, but I don't know the answer. Toady RZ, thank you for, this is a pink super chat, so it is obviously a big one. These are Argentinian pesos, 500 Argentinian pesos. Thank you so much for the donation. 3-inch Cinewhoop. The 650 milliamp hour 3S didn't last a lot. Hover at 30% throttle. Should I go for 654S or like 1000 milliamp hour 3S? Well, the correct voltage depends on the motors that you've got and the kV of the motors. Most Cinewhoop motors these days have a kV designed for 4S. So by putting 3S, going to a bigger 3S isn't going to help you. I would go for 4S. On a Cinewhoop, on a 3-inch Cinewhoop, I mean, without a GoPro, I think you want to be in the range of about a 1,000 to a 1,300 milliamp hour 4S. With a GoPro, I think you want to be between about 850 and, say, 1,000 milliamp hour 4S. I think a 650 milliamp hour 4S is probably too small, but definitely, I mean, I doubt you have a motor KV that's actually optimized for 3S, and that's why it felt underpowered. That's what I think. Thank you for the super chat. $854S would be fine. I think if you're not carrying a GoPro, go bigger. Get that flight time. What about 5S? There are no optimal motors. Yep, you're right about that. Nobody's making. I mean, like, there are some 2,000 kV motors that are really intended for 6S racing that you can run on a 5S, but yeah, nobody's really. The best, if you really want to run 5S, buy 4S motors and use a throttle scale or an output scale. That's what I would say. But why? There's not a lot of 5S batteries either, so just like you just don't. Just go 6S. If you want to go 5S, just go 6S and use the throttle scale. Oh wow. Time has flown. Jeez. It is 10 minutes till the end of the stream. Aaron Ciotti FPV is here in the chat. He is going to be streaming on his channel in about 10 minutes at 3 o'clock. And he's going to start posting the link to his stream. So once we finish up here, y'all can head on over there and see what he's got to say. When am I going to do a live stream giveaway? Well, so I started doing the new product roundup, and every month we do a giveaway. I'll give you a little tip. The new product roundup for this month will be going up in, oh my God, it's the 20th. Wow. Well, anyway, nobody said you had to do it at the beginning of the month. The new product roundup will be going up like on Monday. And I'm giving away 2 Hero 10s. Like, what's the most exciting new product to come out this month? I'll be giving away 2 Hero 10s. So definitely, like, keep your eyes open for that. But I've been giving away between, let's say, $400 and $800 worth of prizes every month on my new product roundup giveaway. And that's kind of fulfilled my budget for giveaways. So, yeah. Quadrophenia, good to see you there, man. I haven't seen you in a while. In your video, how to make Betaflight Warning OSD element work, how do you download from GitHub? Let's, here's how it's done. Where's the link? GitHub page for this project. Download the firmware. Betaflight 429. Let's see. We click. No, that's the source. Where is the builds? Hang on. I'm going to have to watch my own damn video. Or build with patch flash. Select your board list for unified targets only. I don't want to build. I just want to download. No, okay, that's the patch file. I don't want that. Here's the hex file. So if we click it, then we right-click download and do save link as. And that lets me download the hex file. Super annoying. That's how you do it. You click the hex file, and then you right-click download, and you do save link as. That's how you do it. Super annoying, I know. Scott Abramachik wants to know, do you solder your battery leads just laying on the pads or at a right angle in the little notch? If it has a notch, I'll probably do it at a right angle in the notch, because that's how it's designed to get the most content. Contact, not content. Contact. Crunked, I don't have a video about DJI FPV out, but lots of people do. It's not, yeah. Let's see here. Yep, my, let's see here. Let's see. Nope. Hang on a second. Here we go. People are commenting on how much my room has changed since I started. Here we go. You ready? This is what my room used to look like. This is from 2016. That's about as far back as you can go. From 2016. Still had those hooks on the wall, though. Still had my power supply. Wow, I made that a long time ago. Got that folding table there. Got that folding table there. The lava lamp is there. Siati, the light bulb on my lava lamp burned out. I don't know where to get a replacement. Let's see. That's, I had this ATEEZ banner. ATEEZ was one of the first companies to try to sponsor me. I put that ATEEZ banner in the back in exchange for, like, I don't remember what the amount was. A little bit of equipment, a little bit of gear a month. But they didn't have enough FPV gear for me to really take advantage of it, unfortunately. Anyway. What's an earlier video? Let's see. Can I just search? Filter. Date. Can I just search by date? What if I just sort the other way? Where is, like, the very first FPV stuff? Let's see. Nope. No FPV stuff. Almost. 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 There's some outdoor stuff. RC car. Gliding. Outdoor. Here's indoor, but you can't see my office. Outdoor stuff. Oof. Here we go. PID tuning, start to finish. Oh my. That's my desk. You still can't see the office. Where's, like, where I first started actually just sitting at the desk? Jeez. I don't think I have any head cam through any of this. Wow. Where's the first head cam? Nope. Table cam. Table cam. Table cam. Outdoor. Black box log analysis. Huh. Still no head cam. Jeez. How long did it take me to get a head cam? Wow. Nope. Wow. How about that? We're already through 2015. Yeah. And it was this stupid webcam, too. It was, like, terrible quality. Does that one have it? I mean, I feel like if it had a... No, because here I was using the... Yeah, I remember that. Let's see. Nope. Nope. Why was I not putting my face on... Was I not putting my face on camera? Hard to believe. Hard to believe. Wow. Jeez, no. Jeez, when did I start doing that? Well, I guess we'll find out. Come along. Nope. Nope. I was just doing PowerPoint and no face cam. Jeez. 2016. Well, there we go. We know I had face cam for that one. People say, I miss your old stuff. Really? Are you sure? Okay, well, clearly that 2016 was one of the very first videos where I had my face in it. Anyway, that's what my office looked like. Oh, no music, please. Ooh, look at this. Look at this sick flying. Oh, yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, well, look at me. 580 videos. I definitely have more than 580 videos. I definitely have more than 580. Where'd you get 580 from? I don't know where you would find the total number of videos, but yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, thank you so much for sticking around. That's going to do it for this live stream. Siati, have a great stream. It's 3 p.m. If anybody knows where I can get a lava lamp light bulb to get Siati's lava lamp working again, he sent me that lava lamp in the background. And I will see you guys tomorrow, 8 p.m. for my stream tomorrow and throughout the week. Happy flying, everybody. Have a great stream, Siati. Bye, everybody.